let's move over to where things are being done right. A location where there's a whole lot of bad refereeing calls. VAR is messing up, but I mean it's one of the best league in the world, and we cannot but talk about it. There were a lot of games played this midweek. Match week 29 was played. When Arsenal drew to Wolves, a lot of people were making a whole lot of noise. Hey! Now the outgoing champion, well, the defending champion, if we put it that way, played Wolves and they lost.
A lot.
What do you make of that particular game? Liverpool did not play to their strength. Liverpool was lackluster in that game. I mean, our own Tolu Arokodare, he came in and he changed the trajectory of that game. He came in and it was a thorn in the flesh of Konate and Van Dijk. What do you make of this particular, of this particular game? I'll start with Kiki.
Okay, so Liverpool Wolves. I'm going to talk more about Liverpool. Wolves. While I would love to talk about Wolves, unfortunately, it's a foregone conclusion that they'll be relegated this season. So I don't really want to talk too much about a team that is practically dead and buried. They will still disturb the teams above them, but they will be in the championship next season. There's no doubt about that. This is this is actually Liverpool season in a nutshell, right? Start slowly, then chase the game, then give up the game in the dying minutes. Liverpool have actually dropped more points from winning positions this season than what any other team in the league past 90 minutes. I think they've considered winning goals 90 minutes or later than any other team in the league this season. And they're the defending champions. That should tell you something that they are not managing games properly. They're not seeing out games. They are starting out games slowly, then they're having to fight in the middle of games, then they're not finishing games well. The box stops at the manager's table and a slot. And if you remember the last call we had, Mr. Maiwa, I told you, that Gakpo is not if he keeps going like this, he is not long for that team. He is going to be moved on. If I'm Gumoa, I'll be looking at an slot and I'll be saying, Chief, put me in the ring. Let me show the world what I can do. The same goes for Salah. And Liverpool have a creativity problem. I mean, Florian Wirtz was injured. They struggle against teams that sit back and are defensive against them. And it's something the manager has to sort out. It's something he has to figure out. How do you start games well? How do you close out games? Like ensure that the games don't become helter skelter from the 80th minute onward. It's costing them points, and if eventually it will cost them money because if they miss out on the Champions League, that's a significant amount of money they will lose from their posts. So questions need to be asked, and Arne Slot, does he have the answers? I mean, in his post-match interview, he said same old story, and which is the truth. Like it's the same old story. We've seen this with Liverpool multiple times this season. They don't look in control of games, and games feel like basketball games when you watch them at times. So questions to answer, lots to see. Do I think they qualify for the Champions League? Yes.
Yeah, Temilolu, are you there?
It's going to be a shootout between Liverpool, Chelsea, and Manchester United for the Champions League spot. So third to fifth.
Yeah, Temilolu, what do you make of this particular game? I mean, you saw the game. Liverpool were very horrible in that particular game. What do you make of Liverpool performance, and what do you make of that particular game in terms of how Liverpool played in that game?
I think the current situation of Liverpool just makes us understand that Guardiola has done a fantastic job at Manchester City. And you wouldn't believe that this is the Liverpool that won the Premier League last season. They are just like the shadows of themselves after heavy investment. Watching the match, I just felt like it was boring to me, to be completely honest with you. And when you are playing like the a relegated side, there should be a difference. You are playing in the Champions League, they are preparing for championship. There should be a difference in quality, there should be a difference in intensity. Liverpool looked like they were not interested in the game at some point. They lost focus. They were just everybody was just pass. Let's just pass, let's just pass. You understand? And it was just like a lackadaisical of them. You understand? Even though they're just watering down Szoboszlai's effort this season, the guy has been fantastic, but the team has not just clicked. It's not even working. For the fact that Salah has scored one goal in like 3 months tells you that the team is not working. You understand? And it's not just about the players now. Yes, the players have their fair share because they're the ones on the pitch, but I think it's high time the club sits down, have a conversation with Slots, bro. What is the way forward? How are we going about this? Because they are not getting any better. They don't seem to be better. Kiki said they'll qualify for the Champions League. Well, I don't see that being the case. If they still continue this pattern of football that they are playing, I don't see their case changing. I don't see it getting any better. Yes, they have some few flashes of brilliances. Ekitike has been wonderful. Florian Wirtz has been wonderful. Szoboszlai has been wonderful. But let's talk about the defense. You just have that fear that Liverpool will concede at some point. Even if it is 89 minutes, like Kiki said, you just have that fear. Like once a ball just goes above the defense, you just feel like this is a goal, and the keeper does nothing about it. Nobody does anything about it. Nature takes its course. Liverpool concedes. So I think it's high time that they look at slots. You understand? Look at the managerial transfer markets and try as much as possible to evaluate things, because I don't see slots turning things around at Liverpool. They are not playing entertaining football compared to last season where they were bubbling. Yes, we know the later part of last season they started to. What we are seeing now started the later part of last season. What we are seeing now started later part of last season. So you should just tell us that there's a mental part to this Liverpool game. You understand that they just lose focus, they just switch off. They switch off too easily. And when they switch off, before they find themselves, the game is gone. So I just hope Slots goes back to the drawing board, tries to pick up something. From his interviews, he sounds like somebody that has run out of ideas, somebody that doesn't know what else to do to better the results. Let's just keep playing the way we are playing and see if results will change.
Okay, let's move over to the most interesting result of the midweek. Man City drew their game, Arsenal won. I mean, does this give because of the draw? And I'm starting with Kiki. Because of the draw, do you think Arsenal is in full control now and they are poised to win the league?
Arsenal's destiny is in their hands. Like our destiny is in our hands, right? Our destiny is in our hands. So we can afford to lose a game and we will still be 4 points clear of Manchester City, right? Now, like I said earlier, until we touch the trophy, right? That is when I know, yes, that we are, we are league champions. Until then, I'm not taking anything for granted. This is Nottingham Forest. They are in a relegation battle. Manchester City should have put them away, but credits to Nottingham Forest. I mean, the troubled City, they didn't allow City have the game all their way. But this is actually a larger trend from Manchester City. Look, Guardiola's team, and it's interesting that Manchester City and Liverpool almost have the same problem, right? They control games in very different ways, but for some reason they can't seem to control games the way they used to. City look vulnerable on the counter, right? Teams can get at Manchester City for all the possession, for all the Semenyos, Haalands, Shekis of this world. You can get at Manchester City, and Nottingham Forest got at them and got 2 goals. Well done to them, right? In their fight to stave off relegation. Arsenal, haram football, whatever it is, corner FC, whatever it is you want to call it, we'll take the 1-0, Thank you very much. City drop points. We beat Brighton. We'll see again at the weekend against Mansfield. Are Arsenal in control? Yes. Are Arsenal in control? Yes. Have we won the league yet? No. Do we have an easier fixture list? Potentially. So I'm hopeful. Uh, Cautious optimism. That is the operative word now. Cautious optimism. So let's see what happens.
Okay, Temiloluwa, I mean, what do you make of that particular game? Yes, I know your own team, they didn't get a red card. I mean, after 9 consecutive red cards, they didn't get a red card and they ended up winning. But what do you make of this particular, game that saw, you know, Man City drop point and Arsenal winning? They struggled in that game. They won 1-0, but the hallmark of a good team is being able to produce results when they are struggling.
I think Arsenal have mastered the art, you understand, of grabbing it. Let me put it that way. And I hope they are able to. To be honest, they've mastered the art of grabbing it. The match against Brighton, like they spent 30 minutes wasted out of 90. They've mastered a pattern, a strategy of just looking for a way to win. And to be honest with you, when you've not won the Premier League title in 20-something years, you go all out to in fact, you can even tell your goalkeeper if need arise, you understand, for him to just go front, you understand. So I think the pressure is on both Arsenal and Manchester City, and Manchester City fumbled. I know Manchester, they've been a shadow of themselves, just like Liverpool. They've been up and down, they've been everywhere, understand. But Arsenal have been consistently grabbing it. Let me just put it that way. They just, in fact, I just love that team because they have this sense of using everything to work for them. You understand? They just have this sense of using everything to work for them. Throw-ins, corners, goal kicks. They just have this antic. You understand? But for Manchester City, I think, but this is the Premier League. You can never say never. So you can never say never. Arsenal, they have this reputation of bottling things, but I hope that this time around they wouldn't do Man City the favors. But this is the Premier League. Like you said, they have easy fixtures. Those easy fixtures tend to be like the most difficult fixtures in Premier League. Let's be honest with
That's
ourselves.
why I said
Those clubs that you feel like
potentially
you say
easy
what?
fixture. Potentially
Potentially
easier
easy
fixture.
fixture. Keyword
Yeah, potentially.
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 Okay, potential. Okay, it's quoting potentially. So potentially easy fixtures tend to be like not. They might not go as you planned, but I just have this feeling like Arsenal on the very right path, they're on the right path. But if they miss it this season, I don't think they would challenge next season. I don't think they would have that mental resilience to go again next season. And as for Manchester City, I don't know. Man City are just Man City. You understand? So we can see they are struggling. You understand? Arsenal lose one, Man City wins one, and then the Premier League race is on. So fingers crossed on this. It is an entertaining one, even though it is kind of boring in the way the both teams play. But for the fact that there's still uncertainty on the winner of the league, makes it very still interesting.
Well, let's go to the last game of the EPL that we are going to review. Because the Chelsea game, I mean, we already know that Chelsea won and they did so well dispatching Aston Villa. Aston Villa were occupying, they were doing initial gra. Now they've dropped to their normal position and, I think they'll probably slip out of the top 5. But let's go to an interesting game. Manchester United finally lost. And they lost to a 10-man Newcastle.
Newcastle.
I mean, Kiki, what do you think of that particular game? There's a particular Nigerian, he was talking about eating banga soup or something, or bono soup or something. What's that? Is it Osula? Is Osula? His name is Osula. Look at that goal.
William
Look at that fantastic goal in the 90th minute. Kiki, what do you make of that particular game? I mean, exciting for Eddie. The result has not been consistent, but disappointing for a Manchester United side. Newcastle went down. That was when Fernandes started to give away a penalty. Second half, they were not there. Newcastle were playing as if they were still 11-11. What do you make of that particular game?
Eddie Howe needed that result. Eddie Howe, the Newcastle manager, he is the one who really needed that result. Newcastle season, while they've done well in Europe, domestically they've been found wanting. And this is not the first time something like this has happened to that team. The last time they were in the Champions League, their league form also suffered. So kudos to Newcastle, kudos to Eddie Howe. For Michael Carrick, it's not the end of the world, right? First defeat in how many games? 7 games, I believe.
7 games, yeah.
So yeah, 7 games. So he will take it in stride. What he'll be thinking of now is game management. You're up a goal, you're up a man. Manage the game. Don't give anything away. Manage the game, right? And as a midfielder, he was one of the very best at it. So I'm sure he'll be able to coach that into his boys. Look, Newcastle like very open games. So again, game management not so great from the Manchester United players, but not the end of the world. I still think they will be in the Champions League. So let's see how that goes.
I mean, the loss for Manchester United does it not begin to expose Carrick? I mean, if we are being honest, the last couple of games, the game against Crystal Palace, not until the red card, Manchester United were nowhere. They were struggling in that particular game. The game before that one, it was the same story. Don't you think this loss is beginning to expose the inconsistency in Michael Carrick's approach to coaching Manchester United?
First and foremost, I would say he's an interim manager. First and foremost, so I followed my United game a lot. You understand? Aside just watching for the fun of it, looking at the analytical part of it, and I can tell you, Carrick is not as tactically sound as we think he is. Out of possession, you play 4-4-2. In possession, you play 4-2-3-1. Clubs already understand that's how you play, and there's a back end to it. You understand? Man United rely more on counter a lot because of the speed, Umbuemo, because of Cunha, because of the brilliance of Bruno Fernandes. But against Newcastle, they didn't have that chance. Newcastle did their assignment well. And I think, like you said, for the last 4 matches now, they've been struggling. If Sesko doesn't come to the rescue, Lamens comes to the rescue. So that alone tells you a lot of things. So I'm not surprised by the result because I've seen it coming. And when you are coming to a Newcastle side that have a very strong midfield, and very determined midfielders in Sandro Tonali. Sandro Tonali single-handedly run that midfield, making it feel like it was 11 against 11, despite Newcastle being one man down. But for Carrick, it is a wake-up call, a reminder that you are interim, and I don't think the last 5 performances will put him in the seat for a permanent position. But kudos to Newcastle United. They really needed that win. Like Kiki said, they needed that win. And doing so with a lot of injuries was actually a plus. And even 10 man down, William Osula coming in from the bench and just embarrassing Malasia, and that goal was just wonderful. And you just tend to wonder, like, okay, what is the way forward now for Manchester United? I think Manchester United fans were so very relaxed. They were like, okay, we've seen a permanent manager in Carrick, but I am seeing another Ole in Carrick. In fact, Ole even tends to be much more better than Carrick in this regard. So I don't think Carrick should shoot himself in the leg. He's an interim manager, steady the ship, try to help Manchester United qualify for Champions League, and hit the door for the permanent manager. So kudos to Newcastle United. Fantastic play. They controlled that game despite being 10 against 11. Limited Manchester United chances. They even had chances of their own. And I don't know why Manchester United seem to be the top club struggling when they play 10 against 11. You understand? They prefer playing 11-11 than playing 10 against 11, because playing against 10 against 11, those other teams will definitely beat them. We've seen that script with Everton. Now we are seeing it again with Newcastle United. It's very, very shameful, you understand, but then it just takes Man United back to the drawing board to realize that those wins have been fluke. Though win and win, you understand, the way Arsenal fans have made us understand that when you win is to win, regardless of how they do it. But Manchester United, I don't think we've entertained those performances, and it's just taking Carrick back to the drawing board. No matches for 11 days. He's going to have 11 days to prepare the boys for the next match, and hopefully we win it.
Well, I mean, Kiki, you seem to be shaking your head a whole lot when Temlolua was speaking. So, I mean, let me get your own view. And why trying to get your view? The thing is this: do you think this loss exposes the inconsistency of Carrick? I mean, if we are being honest with ourselves, United has struggled in the last 3 games.
True. But I don't think this loss exposes Michael Carrick. What has happened in the last 3 games is that teams have actually adapted to Michael
Of course.
Carrick. Good. Now that teams have adapted to him, the onus is on him to find a solution to that.
To that.
Look, I like Michael Carrick's tactics. In fact, I like Michael Carrick. I loved Michael Carrick as a player. And I will say this: when United were being given the runaround by Barcelona, 2008 and 2010, or right, I think he was the only Manchester United player that actually tried, to get some control on the field. So I know he's very cerebral. He's somebody who knows the game, who understands the game, and his performances against the bigger teams, I thought he got his tactics spot on. Now, like I said, it's an issue of game management, right? Teams now know this is how Mikel Carrick wants to play. He wants to play through the middle, vertical passing, very sharp, hit the forwards as fast as possible. After his tactics almost remind me of Spalletti at Napoli, just in a different formation, right? Slow build up and then hit teams through the middle or hit teams out wide where you can isolate their fullbacks. So he's a good manager. Will he get the permanent spot? Probably not. Does he have what it takes to tweak and adjust his tactics to get Manchester United over the line? I hope so. I don't think they've been fully exposed. And I think there's too much quality in that Manchester United team to not actually beat some of the opponents that they're coming up against. So it depends on how you take it. I think he's a good manager. I think he'll do well. I think they will qualify. He has not necessarily been exposed. Right? Teams have just learned to pick their poison. You sit back and you defend, or you come out against Manchester United and you concede goals. And most teams, unfortunately, have said, okay, you know what, will be difficult to beat. Let's see what you're made of.